Today's lecture, we're going to be talking about ransomware and blockchain addresses. I'm going to kind of come at this from an open source intelligence viewpoint, because the one thing that's really interesting about this is that I have to put this disclaimer up first. So I really want everyone to understand that the data and the tools are public. There's nothing here that's private in any way, shape, or form. There's going to be no individual person identified in this presentation. However, there will be wallets identified. Now, the thing I do want to make sure of is that this is for educational purposes only. Underneath the Copyright Act, this is fair use for teaching, education, and research. The big thing of understanding about how this all works is you have to have some kind of understanding about public data and how those tools can be used to mine public data. So ransomware is really kind of an interesting thing that's been up and coming for a while. It's growing a lot. So we've had a lot of different kinds of attacks. It's cost people a lot of money, and they've had to go through and do things to try to figure out how do we want to make sure that we don't have this problem in our company, because the average cost of just the breach alone without the ransom and the education is almost $7 million, a little over $7 million in total for each event to get everything back to at least some kind of parity and trace. So for our test today, we're going to kind of take a look at how we would validate those numbers, right? How would we put a watch on a blockchain wallet or other ways of monitoring the transaction history for a specific wallet, especially if we have been ransomwared. So now there is a privacy concern here. And again, the public blockchain is just that. It's public. The data is public. Now, the way you put together this information is going to be probably new, and it's going to probably be novel, and it's going to carry some really interesting privacy risks. So you need to be really aware that you might identify the wrong person, which really does happen, right? We will sometimes identify the wrong person in this industry. So you need to go back and be 100% sure of the information that you're presenting to whomever that you present to. We're going to work with just a couple websites. There's a lot of other things that can go along here, but we're just going to work with the really easy ones first. We're going to work with chain abuse, ransomware, the blockchain explorer. And if we do have time, we'll do a bonus. We'll actually build our own little explorer, so we can actually go back and put our own explorer in the cloud to kind of obfuscate where we're coming from a little bit better than coming from our own desktop or coming from our own corporate identity and areas. Because there's some really interesting things about the blockchain. And the big thing that's interesting is that it's absolutely structured data. And it makes a really interesting opportunity for chain analysis, right? It makes a great way of building an AI ML model, looking for fraud, looking for money laundering, looking for anything else, because we have a wallet, we can get a balance, we can get the entire transaction history for that wallet. We have all of the sender's addresses, all of the receiver's addresses, and we have a date range. We know when all these transfers happened. So there's a lot of neat processes that go along in this, and that if you wanted to build an AI ML model, the public blockchain is probably one of the most perfect data resources out there, because hackers are people, and people do weird things. And sometimes hackers will actually put their wallet address out in the public internet. Now, they could put it in a dark web form, whether that's on I2P or whether that's on Tor. They may just go ahead and put it on a personal blog that's on Blogger or someplace else, LiveJournal, someplace else. You can actually go find it. The other thing that's kind of fun too is sometimes they'll actually go and they'll buy domains with that wallet address. So you might get a real name, you might get some aliasing, you might get something that makes them a little bit more easily traceable. With a little bit of extra digging, you can go in there and find them and see if they used a real identity or an alias. That then with some further digging, you can go in and find out that alias really belongs to this person or this group or this hacking group or someone else. So the blockchain is really an interesting source of information. So we're going to go here and we're going to do a demo on just how to actually find out some really cool stuff in there using these websites. So let's head on over to the demo and let's go see what we can find about our websites today and kind of do a little bit quick demo on how this all works. So ransomware is a really good site just for tracking payments, who did what where. So you can download all the data, and that's really the big one for this website. But if you're interested in some latest reports, who is the #1 most prolific ransomware group out there, NetWalker by far at $27 million. And then the next one being Conti, 17 million. Obviously, there's some money here. You can actually pull up the actual reports and kind of see what process is about this. And then if you want to, you can report ransomware here, including screenshots and other issues that you've got here. It's just one way of doing all the things, but you can actually just go ahead and download all the data. If you do use it for research, they actually even give you the whole way of APA citing this whole thing. Now, the other one that's interesting to use is chain abuse. I actually really kind of like this one because you can actually, it's an interactive database. So if you're interested in finding out who's doing what, you can just click on whatever net link that you want. And we can do phishing, receive funds, site, more phishing, and we can actually go ahead and track all this stuff through. Then you can go ahead and just click on that particular link, and then you can actually just go ahead and copy that off. And then let's go to Ethereum. So blockchain.com, your blockchain explorer is right here at the top, and you can search it. And it will actually pull up whatever wallet was involved in that and give you kind of an idea of how much that wallet's worth and all the transactions. So this one has actually been done 106 times, and we're calling it a malicious site feature phishing for information, right? And I have no idea who Bancoreth is, but they've gotten like almost $1,000. So they've actually been fairly active in here 106 times. It's sent no money, current value of about 742. So from just that viewpoint, you have from and then to. So this is our address. We kind of maybe want to then go see if maybe they posted it on a public forum. So Google, a beautiful tool for that. The interesting part is it takes us to a stablecoin contract. It's okay, that's interesting. So let's see what's inside that stablecoin contract. You can actually pull that up then by going to Etherscan and taking a look at it and then clicking on contract. This all looks like just test information. This is not information that I would be really overly worried about, but that contract that's in here actually looks just like a regular old kind of just regular contract template. Just here, if you do a thing, I'll pay you money. And it gives you an ERC20, so it's a basic ERC20 contract. So it's going to just use a standard token. It's not going to be one of the special NFT tokens like 721. And it's just straight up, yeah, this just looks like a regular contract. There's like nothing special here when it comes to that. You can actually pull up an audit report, kind of see where it's all committed, who set it up, where it was set up, and all the rest of it for how to read it. You can pull in and it will tell you how to read it, tell you how to write out on that contract and go from there. So pretty straightforward on that, an Etherscan report. That's it. Now, who sent into it? That's the other one we want to kind of take a look at. So who actually sent stuff into it? We can go and check on that, and it will just give you the commit. It's on a blacklist. So commits, data, CryptoScan blacklisted GitHub. That's good. So it's been blacklisted. So if you do crypto scam databasing for your exchange or for anything else, then this blacklist, sort of like any other kind of spammer blacklist that's out there, is good. But it will just give you the Etherscan IO for transactions info. And that's just what's public, right? This is all just the public information on it. So things that you can find out, there's 119, age 27 days ago. So yeah, they were probably pretty active just for a short bit of time. Minting approved, so they actually made some coin, made some Ether from that contract. So just interesting on how they did it. But that's essentially all there is to these websites, is just go through. And again, you can have the data on board locally if you want to just do it this way. You can work through an API here for something like chain abuse, which is great for chain analysis, mind you, because it gives you a lot of really cool information that you can use, and then turn around and use the Blockchain Explorer to find out more about that wallet address. Now, when we go into this, we found out that some of this was just either a contract address or something else. Could be testing information, could be something else. But we're not really finding anything like really, really, truly groovy. For that, we probably need to go into the dark web. So when we go into the second half of this, we're going to take a look at how to do this same thing in I2P and in Tor and those two darker nets, and kind of see what maybe we can find out about some of these more interesting addresses. All right, well, thank you, and I will see you in the next lecture.